Welcome to the Austin School of Furniture podcast, brought to you by, well, the Austin School of Furniture. We're a fine furniture school in Austin, Texas, offering classes of all lengths to all woodworkers of all skill levels. Join the ASF staff as we talk furniture making, how to grow as a craftsperson, and interview incoming instructors. Thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to the Austin School of Furniture podcast. I'm Austin Waldo.
And I'm Michelle Myers.
This is episode 5, and today we are interviewing Alexander Grabovetskiy.
Hello.
Was that pretty good? Pretty close?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Austin School of Furniture. You've already been here for a few days, and you're teaching a class. Yeah. What are you teaching while you're here?
Well, I'm a professional wood poker.
Okay, wood poker.
Yeah, I poke wood with the chisels.
Uh-huh.
I'm a wood carver.
Wood carver. Okay.
And we teach wood carving. It's pretty much full three-dimensional carving. It's what I teach.
Okay.
So I kind of challenging, but that's what I like.
So you were here on Sunday, and you did a one-day class.
Yeah, we did that thing right there. So
that.
it was just, you do that, yes.
So we've got people listening, obviously through audio as well as video, so you've got to be very descriptive of what
that is a canvas leaf, a really low relief, 2 millimeter deep only. Mm-hmm. It's not 3, not 1, but 2 millimeter deep, but it still gets all the shadows, all the movements. And a canvas leaf is a common element for all the furniture, which is the most common element for over 2,500 years. Usually when you get to wood carving, you start with a canvas leaf. So, and you can just incorporate all types of acanthuses. I mean, different versions. We're talking about like Corinth style, Grecian style, Roman style, Byzantine style, German style, English style, French style, Russian style, Mongolian style, and Moroccan style. I mean, everybody, almost every nation on the planet Earth, they do have a version of acanthus leaf.
Is it an actual plant?
It is.
Based off?
It is. It's actually a translation of that acanthus from Greek. Means bear's claw.
Bear's claw.
Or claw of a bear.
Okay.
Okay, so it's what it is. And in reality, it looks like a claw. So
interesting.
Yep. Or parsley. It looks like parsley.
Parsley, yeah.
Italian parsley.
Yeah, it does. So that was the Sunday class, and now you're teaching a 1-week class, right? Monday through Friday?
Yes, we are working actually on a really interesting project.
Yeah.
We're doing
it's intimidating, for sure.
It is, but it's for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
It's for family. We decided to do something special. You can put it on a dining table or whatever, and it's going to be a basket. It's like a couple grape leaves overlapping each other with some grapes on top, some grapes below, and it's a full 3D.
Okay.
And some curls. It actually covers all of the aspects of wood carving, all the spheres, all the concaves, convexes, and so on.
Yeah.
And you can give it to the loved one. It's actually an excellent project.
Nice.
It's not connected to like, let's say when we do flowers, mostly people gonna give it to wives and daughters, but this you can get to anyone. So.
Right. And that's currently 3 days of work, is that right?
Yes, pretty much it's actually 2.5.
2.5, okay.
2.5, because the first day the tools didn't show up on time. We had to do different sessions. We did on day 1 on Monday, because it's not a Sunday class. We started on Monday. We started with the design, I'm really big on design. I don't like when people call art, like banana and duct tape, an art. There's no design. Okay, if I can tell you a little bit my approach, object could be alive or dead. You can't call art if it's a dead object. When I do the design, I base design like a nature, and in nature, everything based on conflict. I call it like a War and Peace, like famous book by Leo Tolstoy. When you look in nature, everything in opposition to each other, male, female, plus, minus, and electricity. There's no light if there's no plus and no minus. Okay, spalted wood. You know about wood turning. When you look at the spalted wood, you can see two different fungus. I mean, fungi.
Fungi.
Fungi. It's a nice name, but it's still fungus. Fighting each other, and it's a conflict going on. Okay, they fighting for the territory. So the greenish color gonna fight over pinkish color, and most likely some of it gonna conquer majority of the space. Which, if you're gonna calculate, it's really interesting. It's gonna be taken golden section, which divides the space in 62% versus 38%, and one of those funguses or fungi gonna conquer about 62%. I mean, it's really interesting. And everything in nature based on those fights between opposition. Think about political parties. Everything just based on opposition. Blue, red. Think about worldwide. Russia, USA. Okay, and so on and so on. I subdivide that in 10 commandments, or I call it 10 laws, or 10 rules of design. And it's just a surface. We're just touching the surface. All the movements, all the those golden ratios, cuts, sections, points, the main point, like what I like to say, like a movie, let's say. Okay, in a movie you can have only one hero. Okay, only one hero. You can have bunch of people in the movie, but only one is the most important guy. It could be a bad guy, it could be a good guy. But if it's going to be only one guy, there's no story, there's no interest. There's got to be in opposition someone chasing after that hero, and I call it antagonist. Same applies to any design idea, carving or not carving. So there's got to be a conflict. If one movement goes one direction, other movement's supposed to go just opposite direction, different point of view, if you wish. I had a student, I was teaching just a class on design. I do have sometimes just a class, I'm teaching only design. And that person, he had a really great idea. I love the idea. He said, I would like to carve a boat with the frog sitting on, right at the front of the boat. And I said, there's no story. It's no what the frog does. I mean, frog is a frog. Boat is a boat. There's no story. If you just present the tongue sticking out, and there's going to be a fly at the edge of the tongue of that frog, then you got a story. There's a conflict. Somebody's trying to eat that bug or fly, whatever. And he said, "Oh, that is excellent idea." Then you've got some kind of design going on. Otherwise, it would be dead. It's just an object without any interest. It's just a sleeping frog. That's it.
And so in the individual carvings that you're making, you're using those design philosophies to show opposition of nature in those?
Absolutely. In everything what I do, every design, I just base on those rules. Like I said, it's subdivided in 10 commandments, or rules, or laws, whatever you call it. But inside of each of those commandments, you subdivide in 10 more. And inside of those inside of each of those subdivisions, 10 more, level deeper. And inside of each of those subdivided even more, there's level deeper. So it's up to 4 levels. And you can just tell, if there's no story, like I said, there's no interest. But if you know those secrets, if you wish, it's just alive. I don't explain that to normal people, but when people looking at a piece of art, something clicks inside of the brain. It's just so organic and it's just so beautiful. Even the position, how you flip it. I'm teaching also, we all different and we have to accept each other. Let's say I was born in USSR. You were born most likely here, okay? And the mindset, East versus West, is different. Just compare how we write and read. Western world start with the left side and go to the right and down. Let's say in Israel, they start from the right side going down. And your brain reads the same way. If you have a Western side mindset, everything is going to be more pleasing if all the movement going to be from the left going to the right. Yeah. But if I'm going to flip the thing, it's going to be really awkward for you, but it's going to be pleasing for the Israeli or Arabic people. And
In the class, you showed it as two lines with a bus on it.
Here you go. Yes.
Yeah. One appears to us that it's going down or up, depending which line you're talking about, and to somebody
Diagonals,
that
yes,
has that
like-
different reading and writing style might say the opposite. No, that bus is going up.
Here you go. And that's just an assumption because you're used to that. It doesn't mean you can't transfer. I mean, let's say people from China or people from Israel moved to United States when they were children. They used to the mindset of West, and that's going to be pleasing to the brains. And I'm getting customers, clients, and I carve for a living from all over the world. Question number one: what mindset do they have? What's going to be pleasing for the eye, for the brain? Okay, and I know if I'm working for, let's say, people from Middle East, I don't care what the West people going to think about it, because I know as long as it's going to be pleasing to their eyes, it's going to be considered as beautiful. Okay, but that's really important to understand. That's what I'm teaching. The movement, like horizontal movement, a vertical movement also important. What we're trying to say, stuff can grow or stuff can fall. Okay. So, and I showed that piece in my presentation, one of the, carvings I've done. I told the whole story. I grew up in USSR. The life was somewhat empty because we didn't have anything in stores, but not everything was so bad. But it was empty. We didn't know anything about the other side of the world. And it was on a fall. And the diagonal I showed from the left side falling downhill to the right, but it was falling. Okay, and another diagonal, when I moved to another part of the world, to the west, to United States, it was on an uprise. And even the movement up and down makes huge difference. And what is more dominant? How much space downfall takes versus how much space uphill takes. That's also huge difference.
So that could be that whole story could be told in a leaf, is kind of how that leaf is falling or growing, and it would represent all of that.
Oh, absolutely. Even on a level of just single leaf, all the directions, it can grow, it can fall, it can actually look back. It just kind of introduce some kind of interest and so on. But it's not just a movement of the leaf; it's actually a story. What that leaf, even inside of the leaf, I still go by the golden ratio. Even where the center line gonna be, it's still gonna be. Let's say if I want to present like more ungrowing, my line gonna move toward right or to the left. It depends what I want to tell. So I mean, like I said, I can go on and on and on about the design and so on. But I love that stuff. Unfortunately, West lost that art. I mean, most of the universities, they don't teach that anymore. My daughter, she's an architect, and I had to explain all the. I mean, they touch base. The base is like a golden ratio, but even the golden ratio, it's only one part. What is golden ratio? I mean, they say about 1.62, versus 1 ratio and so on. But it only gives you a line. It gives you a section cut. But do you know there's 4 golden spots in one rectangle? It all depends where you're going to start. If you're going to start from the left, estimate your 62%, there's 1 golden section.
Okay.
If you go from opposite side, from right to the left, it's going to be another. If you go from the top, there's going to be another 62%. If you go from the bottom, there's another. And the intersection between those sections are cuts called points, golden points. And only one of those golden points is the most important. And you have to choose who is going to be the hero of the design. Which one supposed to be the main idea, the big idea of the overall design, and everything goes to that thing. So he's going to be the hero, and who's going to be antagonist? Okay, who's going to be anti-hero? And it has to be on the same diagonal, either up or down. Okay, there's 2 diagonals, Baroque diagonal and the sinister diagonal, that's how they call it. Going from the left downhill to the right, it's a sinister, which left. To translate that, actually, it means evil. And if you go to museums, if you look, they call it some art. Let's say if they decide to just do fine art and some naked lady going to lay right there, most likely it's going to be on a sinister diagonal. Because they knew that stuff. The eye gonna look at it and gonna the eye and the human brain reads that something wrong. Why that lady is naked and exposing, what's supposed to be secret, but they still look at that stuff, and it's based on that sinister diagonal. And the sinister actually gives the idea, well, it's on a sinister line.
Yeah.
Okay. And a Baroque line, Baroque means strange. It's not the style I'm talking about. It's just the meaning. Baroque means strange. Everything is good. A right line, let's say. Let's say if it's going to start on the left side and go uphill, it's going to be Baroque and uprise.
Okay.
Okay. And then you just start all the movement uphill on that line.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at it, okay, because when you look on the screen, it's going to go from this point, left lower corner, and go to the right upper corner. That means it's a Baroque.
Okay.
So, and the good stuff usually on the Baroque line. Okay.
I'm gonna go
That-
back and look at a lot of art now that like that.
Yeah.
Go examine
go
the
in classical art museums. You will see even scratches on those canvas. Raphael, those big guys, they scratch the canvas before they paint. They've got all diagonals, all the movements and stuff like this. They based everything on those rules. It's pretty much more math.
I had no idea.
Is your mind blown?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I go to a lot of art museums because of my wife. When we went to Paris for a week, that's pretty much all we did. But I never knew that the golden ratio is in that stuff. So now I'm going to have to look.
Well, look at your hand. Look at your hand. Look at your finger. Okay, see that point right here? Take
Yeah.
up this point. And right in the center, right there, there's your 60, there's your 40. Everywhere. Okay, look at the hand from this point.
I think my 60 and
this.
40 is a little smaller.
I know, yeah.
No, it's still going to be there. Take a look. This point, and that point. There's your 60, there's your 40. Did you know that? Look at the hand. I'm going to stand. I hope I'm not going to be off frame. But take this point. I mean, I'm talking about the fingers. Just for those of you who's
Tip of your
just
finger.
listening. And the shoulder and the elbow falls on the golden ratio. Exactly on the golden ratio.
That one I can see more easily.
Well,
yeah.
take a look.
I guess it's bigger.
If you
It's a
just
bigger
attach
ratio.
your foot like a toe and get the top of your head, the most important spot going to be on the golden ratio.
Your belly button?
I don't know.
Oh,
that one has to not be true for everyone.
Look at me. Yes, it is. Take a look.
What about
Take a look.
what
My
about
hand-
Michael Phelps? Would he still
that's
be?
exactly what I was
Well,
thinking of.
you can. I mean, of course, you can manipulate whatever you do. You can just even those basketball players. You can just kind of stretch and so on, and it's going to be. It's not exactly like a 1.61 and 9
Yeah,
and
yeah.
2, 3, but it's approximately there. Take a look. This spot, and measure. Just to try to measure. It's still
Yeah.
going to be 60-40.
Yeah.
Approximately, it's still going to be 60-40. So yes, honestly, people don't realize, but even human body, not only human body, but everything in that
60-40,
world
60-40.
created by the rule. And if you break the rule, it's not pleasing to the human brain.
All right. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
So I have a question. What do the numbers on the carving gouges mean?
That is such a deep question. Okay.
It's just as deep as what we were talking about. I thought what we were just talking about was deep.
It's about mindset again.
Oh, okay.
Because the numbering system goes like that. Even you take, we call it the Western numbering system. It's still subdivided into London pattern, which is English or British,
Okay.
and European pattern. Which one would you like to know?
Well,
Which
there's-
one are you using?
Both.
In the
Everybody
class?
in the class, we're using both. Yes, we're using both.
I don't know.
Now,
I don't
let
know
me
which
tell
one
you,
I wanna know.
when people saying wood carving chisels, it's not accurate. Wood carving tools could have a chisel or chisels, but not all wood carving tools are chisels. It's the same like donkey, not supposed to be a horse, even if it looks the same. Okay, if it has a handle and the metal part, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a wood carving gouge. Okay, we subdivide First of all, by name. Chisel, it does not have any, what I like to say, the professional name is the sweep, which means the curvature or smile of the tool. When you look at the tool, it's supposed to be either straight or it's going to have some kind of curvature. That curvature called sweep, and the chisel does not have that sweep. If it's absolutely straight, it's number one. Okay, everybody knows if it's number one, it's going to be a chisel. It could be a wood carver's chisel, because usually a wood carving chisel has two sides beveled. It could be a bench chisel, like any woodworker would use for anything. It could be whatever, the Morrison chisel, but it's still chisel, it's still number one. And it could be skewed or skew chisel when the end is just like that. But since it doesn't have a sweep, it's still going to be number one. Now, it's on European chart. If you go to England, they have a number two, also chisel. It does not have any smile, but it's a skew. Okay? They decided to use the number two for the skew. Okay. Now, what's going to be in Europe after number one? Gouges. Okay, whatever is after number one, which is number two in Europe, and number three in England, it already has some certain smile, just a slight curvature of the blade. Okay, I'm talking about the smile of it, and it goes all the way to the half circle. I call it the American smile, a true half a circle. Okay, and that's number 9 in Europe, and that would be number 10 in England because they conquered that number 2 and they call it chisel. Okay, but it is a gouge. Gouge is not the chisel. Okay, it's made for the gouging. Okay, you removing material, so you just to take stuff out without damaging the edges. Of course, you can gouge with with any chisel, but you're most likely going to damage the stuff. But the gouge made to create a really clean concave cut. Okay, you can't do concave cut with the chisel, but you can't do straight cut with the gouge because gouge made for the concave cuts. Okay, so all concaves done by gouge. Also, when you place the gouge 90 degrees toward the surface and you start following the sweep, let's say you just create the cut, you start at one point, it's always going to end at the same point. That's the gouge.
Okay.
Again, from 2 all the way to 9. Then, just because English conquered number 10, Europeans, they were wiser and they said, well, we can't create now number 10. Let's jump and create number 11. And 11, it's already letter U. It's not gouge, it's not chisel, it's a veiner. Okay, like a V. Okay, so it's a veiner made for the veins of leaves. Right? It's a multi-tool in one.
Yeah.
It has all the sweeps, all the smiles inside the one tool. Depends what side you're using. You can just move it to the right or to the left with the flute. Flute is the middle part of the tool, okay? And it just changes the whatever the sweep is.
Interesting.
And on and on and on. I mean, number 11, of course, it's a veiner. Then we've got number 12 till number 16. It's a V, like a V tool or parting tool in England. And then after 16, there's a 17. It's already specialty tools. A V tool, it's a chisel on one side. Let's say the right side is chisel on the left side, and small gouge in the bottom. Okay. So 16 and from 12, 14, 15, 16, they go to you almost don't see that gouge. Number 17, that gouge gets bigger.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so 14, 15, and 16 are like almost come to a
to the point, almost, but still has
in the inside.
Yeah,
more like a V.
The difference
and so then
only
17 is starting to be
bigger gouge.
So what's the? Yeah, okay. So then 17's bottom is not a point. It's starting to be concave.
No, they all not the point. They all have a gouge, but that's
They do.
let's say if it's going to be in number 12, number 15, 16, it's going to be about maybe a 16th of an inch gouge.
Okay.
Okay, and number 17 is going to be 2 millimeters.
I got you. Okay.
Or 3 millimeters. It depends how big that is. Also, on the V tools, why is it too many? 12, 14, 15, 16 degrees. How those wings open.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it can go. It can be 90 degrees. It could be 60 degrees. It could be 45 or 35. So 35 is it's a number 16. It's a really narrow opening. So it's that is why V tool is not just a V tool. There's a different openings. So does that answers your question?
Yeah, I think so. Very much so.
Would you like to go deeper level?
I think that was good. Yeah, I've had a lot of numbers and design.
I don't know if my brain can handle deeper right now.
Yeah. Well, through all of your carving experience, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about specifics of projects.
Sure.
If you had to say, this is what I'm most proud of, what would that project be?
That's such a hard question. Every project, I guess, because I enjoy the process. Okay, I'm not project oriented. I'm a process oriented. I enjoy. Let's put it that way. There is a book called Flow. Nothing to do with wood carving, woodworking. Mm-hmm. It's just about what makes people happy. Okay, majority of people, they make mistake. They think if something gonna change in my life, it's gonna make me happy. If I'm gonna remodel the kitchen, it's gonna make me happy. If I'm gonna buy a new car, it's gonna make me happy. If I'm gonna get piece of equipment, that's gonna make me happy. If I'm gonna buy all of fast tools, it's gonna make me happy. But
You'll make somebody
make me unhappy for sure.
well, it does bring some dopamine explosion.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's only temporary.
Right.
Okay, it just lasts like a couple days. Buy the most expensive car, couple weeks later, it becomes common car for you. Mm-hmm. You don't enjoy that anymore. And the happiness in the process itself, when you enjoy it. And I made a decision a long time ago. You asked the question about what I'm proud about. I really don't, I can't say one project is better than another. They're all different. Yes, I won some awards and I'm somewhat proud, which I'm not proud. I never entered myself. They just found me. I like to carve flowers. And for the flowers, I won some awards. Like 2012, I won the Best in the World Object Made Out of Wood. In 2015, and so on. And those flower projects, because the complexity of those projects, I can't say it made me proud, but I enjoyed the process the most.
For you, it's kind of the saying, it's the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. So the journey is actually more important for me. Now it's just somewhere, just on a wall, okay? But the way to get there, I can find millions of, areas I can improve and make more joyful. Okay, so that's probably the answer. I'm not sure if it's answers or not.
Well, we will allow it.
You will allow it. Thank you.
If it's your answer, that's the answer.
It is. Of course, I can carve anything. I carved some lions. I carved, whatever, any style, Rococo, Baroque style, stupid style. Okay.
I mean, your stuff is pretty cool to look at. So if anybody wants to Google Alex, I mean, his stuff is pretty impressive.
Do you ever people like a busk of somebody?
Interesting.
Yeah, I've done it, but I don't enjoy it.
Fair.
I don't know, but I don't feel comfortable. Okay, of doing people. I mean. Yes, I had to do that like a few times, but it's not what I would do every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so
flowers are the way to go.
Okay. Flowers are the most complex because it's not just it's a flower; it's a design inside of those flowers. If you count how many petals in the flower, it's going to be Fibonacci sequence. And to combine all those numbers together, it's like a mathematics, if you wish. And you can communicate anything because different flowers, they represent different aspects of life. Some flowers are really aggressive, and some flowers are really, nice and beautiful, if you wish. And you can just tell the whole story, based on just flowers. That's it. And flowers actually harder to carve than any lion head or any human, face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And harder than to do any musical instruments. I mean, most of the people here in this class, they are luthiers.
Yeah.
Ask them what is harder.
We have a lot of luthiers in this particular class, and they all are interested in carving in some way related to their musical instruments.
Well, I wanted to go off in a different direction. Do we have time?
We've got time. 5 minutes.
I kind of wanted to ask you about how you got started. Who, Vladimir Tokarev? Did I totally botch that?
Tokarev.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about him?
How do you know that? Where did you? Are you a spy?
I got my sources. I'm well connected.
Sure, that's a secret. How do you know that? Okay, but anyway, let me put it that way. I stole my first chisel at the age of 6.
That's awesome. That's amazing. From who?
From my grandfather.
Okay.
I was 6 years old, and my grandfather, he died like 30 years ago. He was one of the most, the most talented craftsman I ever met. Okay? He knew everything. He could do pretty much not only wood, he could do all the mechanical stuff, and he was a really good mechanic. Okay, he had his shop with a couple benches, and obviously he had all the tools he needed to. And I was 6 years old. I got one of the tools. He forgot to lock his shop. Okay, but I didn't know I like wood or I like stone, and I found just a white silicon brick, which is actually more dense than even a brown brick, clay brick, and I started to carve. You asked me about the human face and stuff like this. My first project was a human face. Okay, 6 years old, and I did something, and it's still when I sleep, it appears and scares me. But I carved some kind of face, I don't know. It looked more like an idol than anything else. But I brought it to my grandfather and said, look, Grandpa, look what I've done. Oh, man, he wasn't happy. And he's a nice person. But he said, let me explain how you use the tool. That is a woodworking chisel or whatever.
It was a woodworking chisel.
It was. He would still probably regrind and... But think about it, it's USSR. We didn't have too much resources. It's too expensive to get new tools. It's not like you can go in a woodcraft store and buy a new one.
Right, yeah.
So it was treasure. Okay. And that was my introduction. But anyway, not only that chisel, I remember when I grew up in a town, and we had like a central plaza with some gift shops and stuff like this. And one of the gift shops, I remember, just like now, I would walk with my grandmother in that shop, and right on the right-hand side, they had display with the toys made out of the wood by hand carvers. Okay, it's like a bears and stuff like this. It was a big, and I would just I wouldn't go to the plastic department. I would go to the wood department. Something special about wood from the beginning, actually. I kind of felt, wow, is that really made out of the wood? 6 years old.
It drew you in.
Yeah, it was just like innate. I didn't know my background yet. I highly believe in genes. Okay, my great grandfather was a kind of famous woodworker. They call them. Those people called redwooders in Russian language means the person who works only in expensive species of wood, which is reddish color, which used to be Indian mahogany. Okay, same like Chippendale and so on. Okay, I mean he would just use Indian mahogany. That's it. That's all he did.
Okay.
And they call them, those people called redwooders. Also, the guy before him, he was actually a furniture maker for the royal house in St. Petersburg. So his royal butt was sitting on my, ancestors' craftsmanship.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I don't know how many pieces he was making, but he was, you know the story about André Boulle, the French furniture maker in Louis XV period. It was personal furniture maker for the Louis XV. So when I look back to history at my ancestors, I feel like that. But the problem was Soviet Union. Okay, USSR means Soviet Union. They wiped the whole history. They tried to wipe all those famous people out of the history. We also had masters. We also had the master craftsmen, master wood carvers. But people don't know because it was 70 years of Iron Curtain. Now, Vladimir Tokarev, what you asked, he's one of those really good master wood carvers.
Cool.
Okay, he's not only a wood carver, he was a fine artist. He was also professor of arts. And I started at 6 years old, but when I was 16, he found me. And he saw something in me and took under his wing. And he said, let me teach you how to carve. And 10 years of experience, and those 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
What the Malcolm in the book writes and a couple other guys, it's a joke. Okay, he said, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a joke. They say it takes 10,000 hours and you're going to become a master. No, it's not. You can be 10 years in a school, but it could be first grade. So
I have a lot to learn.
yeah.
Well, that's great. And you've been carving ever since.
Always. I've been in jail for my beliefs, and I still was carving. And the carving actually got me through. Just because of the carving, I was able to get potato a day, and we would just divide that potato and eat. It was food. Otherwise, you can't eat that jail food and so on. When I came to United States, carving opened the doors for me to open the businesses. I had multiple businesses here. I built homes. We started from just installing stuff like a millwork installation, finished carpentry and so on. Then we did whatever's wood, cabinet shop and everything. So I would just do my carving part and my employees would do rest of it. Okay, and it just opened, I don't know, it's just mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Awesome.
And it's still wood. It's still woodworking.
Of course.
Even
yeah,
Michelle
we love
doesn't
it.
think so.
It's woodworking. It's just
It is.
not my woodworking.
There's no such a thing as mine, not mine. It's a woodworking. Bible calls a
We'll get her to carve something sometime.
wood carver a wise man.
I'll take your class next year.
Sure.
All right.
Take 2 classes.
Well, in closing, Alex, if somebody wants to follow you or potentially check out your online school, how would they do so?
They would just go to the computer, open the lid.
Good
If it's a laptop, MacBook Pro better, or iPhone, or iPad, or Android phone, and just put schoolofwoodcarving.com.
Okay.
Okay, and I do have a school online, but it's not a business. It's actually a nonprofit. It's a 501c. It's a 100% tax deductible. Okay, like $19 a month, $19.99 a month, and it's 100% tax deductible. And I do have over 3,000 videos right there. It's not even a school. It's actually more like a virtual apprenticeship. I carve for clients and I film it and I explain the way how I do that.
Oh, cool.
It's just like a go back like in 17th, 18th century. I invite you to my shop and you're just watching over the shoulder. Now, if you are in, like, let's say on Instagram, a wood carver Grabovetskiy, you can follow me. On YouTube, it's just Grabovetskiy. If you're older, then and you Facebook, if you still use that, then it still would be woodcarver Grabovetskiy. Can you spell woodcarver?
I can spell woodcarver.
Woodcarver, and then start G-R-A, and then it's gonna pop.
Okay.
Grabovetskiy. Woodcarver, no spaces, Grabovetskiy. That's easy.
Okay.
But schoolofwoodcarving.com, definitely.
All right.
Awesome.
Can you spell school?
I can manage.
Okay, good.
Sometimes it comes
It's
out
hard.
shul, but
Sometimes. Yeah.
Shul is actually a Hebrew. Also for school.
oh, well, that's perfect.
It's
Then.
the same meaning.
All right.
Same,
Well,
same.
thank you so much for stopping by the school in the podcast.
Sure.
And we'll have you back hopefully in the future. And of course, if anybody wants to check out our classes, head over to austenschooloffurniture.com. Austin School of Furniture.
Same like city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now I know why you called the school Austin.
Oh, do you?
Because
Is
it's
it Austin or Austin?
you. You don't like my accent?
I'll never tell.
What? No, I.
Is it Austin or Austin? Or Aston?
Definitely not Adam. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.